Today, we are going to answer one of the most interesting questions in the financial world. How much US dollar actually in circulation? Not how much money America has, not how rich the US economy is, but specifically, how many physical dollars and digital dollars actually exist right now. This is an important question because the US dollar is not just America's currency. It is the world's most trusted currency. It is used in international trade, global banks, government reserves, and even in black markets and crisis economies. So today, in simple and clear language, I will explain how many dollars are printed, how many dollars exist digitally, how the number keeps changing, what counts as real dollars, where all this money actually lives, and who controls the creation of new dollars. This is How Much Things, and today we are exploring how much US dollar exists in circulation. Let's begin. When people ask how much US dollar exists, they usually imagine a giant vault full of cash, bundles of notes, stacks of coins, huge piles of green bills. But the truth is, most US dollars are not physical. Most dollars are digital numbers inside bank systems. So, when we talk about dollars in circulation, we need to understand three categories. Physical cash. This includes every paper note and coin the US government has printed or minted. Bank deposits. This is money you see in your bank account, your debit card account, or your PayPal balance. It is real money, but it exists only as digital data. Electronic dollars created through lending. When banks issue loans, they create new digital dollars. This expands the money supply even more. So, if we want to know how much US dollar exists, we must count. Dollars you can hold, dollars you can withdraw, dollars created through banking, dollars stored in foreign countries, dollars moving through global markets. This is why the total amount of US dollars is much larger than most people expect. Let's start with the simplest question. How much physical US cash exists right now? According to data released by the US Federal Reserve, the total value of physical US cash, every note and every coin combined, is around 2.3 trillion US dollars. This includes all $1 bills, all $5, $10, $20, $50, $100 notes, all coins in circulation, all cash stored in ATMs, in bank vaults, and in personal wallets. But here is the surprising part. Around 70% of all physical US cash is not in the United States. It is outside the country. Why? Because the US dollar is considered stable, safe, easy to exchange, trusted by almost every country. So people in other countries use US cash as a store of value, especially during inflation or political instability. That means only about $700 billion of physical cash is in the hands of Americans. The rest, more than $1.5 trillion, is being used by people and businesses worldwide. If physical dollars are only 2.3 trillion, then where is the rest of the money? In the digital world. Digital dollars include bank account balances, online payment balances, company accounts, government accounts, international bank holdings, reserve currency accounts, market liquidity. This digital money is measured by something called M2 money supply. And according to the most recent data, the total M2 supply, which includes digital dollars plus physical cash, is around 20 trillion US dollars. This number changes monthly, but this is the approximate size. Now look at the difference. Physical dollars, 2.3 trillion. Total money supply, 20 trillion. This means more than 85% of all US dollars are digital. They never existed on paper. They are simply numbers updated in the banking system. And these digital dollars move through salary deposits, online transfers, bank loans, business transactions, government payments, credit systems. This is why the US money system is huge, far larger than physical printing. Now we come to the most misunderstood part of the US dollar system. Commercial banks can create new dollars. When a bank gives you a loan, it does not give you someone else's money. It creates new digital money digitally. For example, when a bank approves a $10,000 loan, your account increases by $10,000. The bank creates $10,000 from nothing. This increases the total money in the economy. This is called fractional reserve banking. It means banks only keep a small portion of deposits as reserves, and the rest can be used to create loans, which creates new digital dollars. This system is why the total amount of US dollars expands over time. The Federal Reserve controls this process by setting interest rates, controlling reserve requirements, regulating lending conditions, managing liquidity. But still, commercial banks contribute massively to the total supply. When loans are repaid, the digital money gets destroyed. But when new loans are given, new money is created again. This is why the US dollar supply fluctuates. It grows during economic expansion and slows during crises. The US dollar supply is controlled by three main actors. 1. The Federal Reserve, the Fed. The Fed decides how much cash to print, how much digital money to inject, interest rates, economic policies, money supply limits. Inflation targets 2. The US Treasury they handle. Printing physical notes, minting coins, managing government debt. Issuing bonds 3. Commercial banks they create digital dollars through lending. Together, these three systems determine the final number of US dollars in circulation. Every year, the US prints over 7 billion new paper notes. But the US does not print money just to increase the supply. Most of this printing is for replacement. Old notes get worn out, damaged, torn, dirty, removed from circulation. So the US prints new notes, mostly to replace old ones. Actual supply growth happens through digital expansion, not physical printing. The US dollar is the world's reserve currency. This means countries store US dollars as backup money, businesses use US dollars for trade, people use US dollars during crises. So how much US dollar is outside the United States? Surprisingly, more than 65% of all US dollars, physical and digital, exist outside the US. These dollars sit in foreign banks, international markets, central bank reserves, trade systems, cash holdings, offshore accounts. This is why the US dollar is the most powerful currency in the world, and why changes in US policy affect the entire planet. Now, let's combine everything. Physical cash, 2.3 trillion digital bank money deposits, a large portion of the 20 trillion M2 supply. International dollar holdings, held by foreign governments, businesses, and banks, dollar assets in global markets, bonds, securities, derivatives, and investments measured in dollars. So, the total amount of US dollar existing in the world, both physical and digital, is approximately 20 trillion US dollars, but this number changes constantly. The money supply grows when banks lend more, shrinks when loans are repaid, expands during stimulus programs, contracts during economic tightening. The US dollar system is dynamic, always changing, never constant. The US dollar supply is not fixed. It grows because the economy grows, inflation increases prices, more trade requires more dollars. Banking systems create loans, government stimulus adds liquidity. This growth is normal. If the supply stayed constant, the economy would shrink. So the US keeps expanding the dollar supply, but carefully, to avoid hyperinflation, economic crashes, banking failures. This balance is the reason the US dollar remains stable. The US dollar is dominant because it is trusted, it is stable, it is huge, it is everywhere. It is backed by the world's largest economy. Countries around the world use it for oil purchases, international trade, global investments, foreign reserves, financial stability. This global trust gives the dollar a unique position in history. So, how much US dollar exists in circulation? $2.3 trillion of physical cash, around $20 trillion including digital money. And the number changes every single day. The US dollar is not just America's currency. It is the world's financial backbone. It is the currency that connects countries, businesses, and global markets. This was How Much Things, explaining the true size of the US dollar. Thanks for watching. Stay curious and keep exploring how much things exist in our world.